There's a quiet truth that most people miss. Your mind becomes what you feed it. Like a garden, it flourishes or withers depending on the seeds you plant and the care you give. When you feed it with fear, doubt, and judgment, the world begins to reflect that back to you, chaotic, hostile, and heavy. But when you nourish it with clarity, kindness, and purpose, life opens up in a way that feels lighter, fuller, more alive. You don't need to chase happiness at the end of some faraway road. The Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." That one sentence holds more power than entire shelves of self-help books. It's not just a nice idea, it's a reminder that your peace, your joy, and your reality begin from within. But here's the challenge. Most of us were never taught how to truly care for our minds. We learned how to solve equations, meet deadlines, and push through pain, but no one showed us how to tend to the garden of our thoughts. And without that awareness, it's easy to fall into autopilot, reacting, overthinking, spiraling into self-doubt without even realizing it. That's where Buddhist wisdom becomes a lantern in the dark. It doesn't offer quick fixes. Instead, it invites us to slow down, to look inward, and to train the mind like a gentle but disciplined teacher would. Not through force, but through presence. Not through suppression, but through understanding. In this video, we'll explore 8 timeless lessons from Buddhist teachings that can help you reshape the way you see, think, and live. These aren't abstract concepts. They're practical tools to help you stop suffering, build a positive mindset, and return to a life grounded in peace and clarity. Lesson by lesson, we'll discover how thoughts become the seeds of our reality, how guarding our senses changes the texture of our days, and how mindfulness turns chaos into calm. We'll also uncover how gratitude softens longing, how visualization shapes our inner world, and how self-compassion rebuilds our sense of worth. You might wonder, can the mind really be trained? Is peace truly within reach? The answer is yes, but not through wishing, through practice. Just like a musician trains their ear or a monk tends their breath, you can learn to train your mind to see the good, even when life feels messy. And you can do that without denying your pain, by embracing it with clarity and choosing to respond, not react. So take a breath, not to escape, but to arrive. You're not here by accident. You're here because some part of you is ready to stop running from the mind and start walking with it. Let's begin this journey together, not to become someone new, but to return to the wholeness that's always been within you. Your mind is not a fixed container. It's more like a garden. Whatever you allow in takes root and grows. The first step in training your mind for peace and clarity is learning to choose what you absorb. In Buddhist practice, this is known as guarding the sense doors, being mindful of everything you let into your consciousness through your eyes, ears, and thoughts. If your days are filled with negative news, mindless scrolling, gossip, or chaotic environments, your inner world will reflect that noise. The mind, like water, becomes murky when stirred by too much input. But if you surround yourself with Dharma teachings, kind-hearted people, uplifting music, or moments in nature, you are nourishing your mental soil with seeds of stillness and understanding. Think of it this way. Every time you watch something, listen to someone, or even engage in a conversation, you're feeding your mind a certain energy. Are you offering it toxins or nutrients? Buddhism teaches that what we consume mentally is as impactful, if not more, than what we consume physically. So how often do we pause to filter our mental diet? Would you let just anyone walk into your home and shout whatever they want? Then why let just anything walk into your mind? The Buddha advised us to be mindful of the company you keep, but that doesn't only mean people. It includes ideas, media, language, and even self-talk. If you're constantly immersed in judgment, conflict, or distraction, don't be surprised when your inner world feels stormy. But you can shift this. You can choose silence over noise, wisdom over distraction. You can begin each day by listening to a guided meditation instead of doom scrolling. You can read even just one verse from a sacred text, or step outside to feel the earth under your feet. These are not small things. They are acts of mental hygiene, daily decisions that shape your life. Nature is a great teacher in this. A tree does not grow stronger by consuming more noise. It grows by rooting deeper in stillness. Likewise, your mind thrives when it is given space to breathe, reflect, and renew. So ask yourself, what are you letting in today? Are your sense doors open to peace or chaos? This is not about perfection. It's about awareness. And once awareness is present, the transformation begins, quietly, steadily, like a lotus rising from the mud. Let this be your beginning, to choose with care what you allow into your sacred mind, and to watch how your world begins to mirror that care in return. But what if your thoughts weren't just fleeting clouds, but seeds shaping the very reality you live in? That's what we'll explore next. There's a quiet shift that begins once you start choosing what enters your mind. But the second challenge arises just as silently: how you react to what's already inside. After learning to filter what you absorb, the next step is learning how not to let every emotion or thought instantly drive your actions. This is where the art of breaking free from autopilot reactions begins. Most of us live with a mental default mode: reacting, judging, snapping, withdrawing, all before we even realize we're doing it. These responses often come not from the present moment, but from old wounds, deeply ingrained habits, or invisible societal programming. It's like driving down a road you've traveled so many times that you no longer notice the scenery. Only in this case, the road is your emotional pattern. In Buddhist practice, this is one of the greatest obstacles to awareness. When we operate on autopilot, we lose the freedom to choose peace. But the moment you pause, truly pause, and observe your reaction as it arises, you begin to take the wheel back. Maybe it's anger bubbling up during a disagreement. Maybe it's fear closing your heart before you even know why. Instead of pushing these emotions away or being swept away by them, you gently notice them. This is anger. This is fear. This is pain. No judgment, just seeing. That simple moment of mindfulness cracks open the space between trigger and response. And in that space, you reclaim your choice. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to retreat. You don't have to react the way you always have. You can choose with clarity, with compassion, with wisdom. This is not about suppressing emotion or pretending to be calm. It's about training your mind to respond from your highest self, not your oldest habits. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Each time you interrupt the cycle, you're rewiring your brain toward awareness. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're actively shaping it. As Zen masters often say, when the mind is calm, right action appears. But calmness isn't something that appears out of nowhere. It's something we practice one moment, one breath, one conscious response at a time. And now, as we continue the journey of retraining the mind, let's explore a deeper truth, one that reveals how every challenge can become the very soil where wisdom grows. Some lessons don't arrive gently. They arrive in the form of discomfort, uncertainty, or loss. After learning to filter what we absorb and respond with awareness, life eventually presents us with something harder to ignore: challenge. And here the real training begins. Because in Buddhism, suffering is not the end. It's the beginning of transformation. We often think of pain as something to escape. We brace against it, avoid it, label it as bad luck or punishment. But what if instead pain was a teacher? Not a cruel one, but one who whispers truths we couldn't hear in easier times. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering is inevitable, but unnecessary suffering is a choice. When we resist pain, we tighten, we react, we cling. But when we open to it, with curiosity, not fear, we discover its hidden messages. What is this moment asking of me? What part of me is ready to grow? Monks in many traditions deliberately embrace discomfort. They walk barefoot, eat simply, meditate for hours in silence, not because they enjoy hardship, but because they know it reveals what comfort hides. It exposes impatience, ego, fear, and in doing so gives us the tools to transform them. So when life brings you frustration, heartbreak, or failure, pause, breathe, and ask, what is this here to teach me? Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's surrender. Maybe it's strength you didn't know you had. This question shifts the entire energy of suffering. It no longer becomes something happening to you. It becomes something working through you. Think of a seed, buried in darkness, cracked open by pressure. Only then does it reach toward the light. In the same way, many of our deepest awakenings are born from our darkest nights. To train your mind to stop suffering isn't to eliminate pain. It's to meet it with wisdom, to see it not as punishment, but as a path, not as an obstacle, but as a doorway. So the next time pain knocks, don't shut the door. Sit with it. Listen. Because the very thing you want to escape might just be the beginning of the peace you're searching for. And now that we've begun to shift how we view pain, let's look at a daily habit that quietly changes everything. One that teaches the mind to stop grasping and start appreciating. Keep your heart still for just one more breath, because what you're about to hear isn't just a lesson, it's a mirror reflecting the path you're walking. Why does your life keep repeating the same cycles? Chaos, calm, joy, and pain. The answer often lies in your own thinking. Thoughts aren't just passing clouds. They settle, take root, and eventually bloom into the life you experience. That's why in this next part, we'll dive into a powerful insight. Thoughts are the seeds of reality. In Buddhism, this isn't just poetry, it's practice. The Buddha taught that every thought you entertain is like a seed you plant in the garden of your mind. And like any garden, it doesn't care what you plant. It will grow whatever you choose. Anger, it grows. Compassion, it grows too. The question is, which crop are you cultivating? Pause for a moment. Imagine your mind as a field. Each worry is a weed. Each moment of patience is a blossom. Are you pulling weeds or watering them? This is why mindfulness matters so deeply. By observing your thoughts without attachment, you begin to see which ones are helping you and which ones are harming you. It's not about suppressing the bad or forcing the good. It's about becoming aware, and from that awareness, choosing wisely. When you catch your mind spiraling into fear or criticism, ask gently, is this the harvest I want? Because the mind, like the earth, doesn't judge. It simply reflects back what you've nurtured. Buddhist monks have long practiced this discipline. Through meditation, silence, and simplicity, they train their minds to recognize the seeds they're planting. You can do the same. You don't need a monastery, just a moment of stillness, a breath of awareness, a conscious choice to water something different today. Try starting each morning with an intention. Today I plant kindness. Or before you sleep, may I let go of what no longer serves me. These aren't affirmations for the sake of optimism. They're mental cultivation. They're how we reclaim the gardener's hands from the wild overgrowth of our unconscious mind. In the Eightfold Path, the Buddha placed right thought not as a suggestion, but as a foundation. Because when your thoughts are clear, your life follows. When your inner dialogue shifts from judgment to compassion, from worry to clarity, the world outside begins to change too. So if your mind is a garden, what will you plant today? In the next part, we explore a lesson that many of us tend to overlook. Cultivating self-compassion as a form of inner strength, not weakness. It may sound simple, but the truth is, most of us are far kinder to others than we are to ourselves. Especially when we fail, when we fall short, or when we make mistakes, the voice inside often turns cold, harsh, even cruel. But Buddhism reminds us, you deserve the same compassion you offer a loved one. Metta meditation, also known as loving-kindness practice, invites us to start by offering peace and forgiveness to ourselves. Repeating phrases like, may I be well, may I be safe, may I be at peace may feel strange at first, but over time they soften the inner critic and awaken a quiet kindness within. When we forgive ourselves for past mistakes, we loosen the grip of guilt and shame. We realize we are not our failures. We are not stuck in who we used to be. Just as the river doesn't carry the same water twice, you too are constantly changing, flowing, becoming. Letting go of unrealistic expectations, we begin to embrace our imperfections with tenderness. And something beautiful happens. The more gently we treat ourselves, the more naturally we extend that gentleness to others. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is self-honoring. It is recognizing that just like every other human being, we too deserve healing, patience, and grace. This shift in how we relate to ourselves becomes the soil where peace and resilience grow. Instead of pushing ourselves with harshness, we move forward with clarity and care. And this, perhaps, is the most radical form of strength. If self-compassion can soften the edges of our inner world, what happens when we start to see ourselves already living the peace, patience, and strength we long for? In the next lesson, we learn how to train the mind to see what has not yet appeared, a practice rooted deeply in Buddhist mental cultivation. Visualization in this tradition is not wishful thinking or fantasy. It is a conscious, powerful act of planting the seeds of reality before they have even begun to sprout. To train the mind to envision peace, compassion, and strength is to start building their structure from within, long before they show up in the outer world. Think about this. When you close your eyes and picture yourself responding with calm instead of anger, offering kindness instead of judgment, or standing firm in chaos instead of crumbling, your brain begins to rewire. Neurons fire as if these moments were already happening. You're not pretending, you are preparing. You are creating a mental imprint, a kind of inner rehearsal that gently guides your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in real life. This is why, in many Buddhist meditation traditions, practitioners are encouraged to visualize qualities like patience, loving kindness, and equanimity. Not because they are already perfect, but because the act of visualizing is itself a way of becoming. The mind doesn't need proof before it believes, it only needs direction. And visualization offers that direction with clarity and purpose. Take a simple example. Imagine yourself walking into a tense situation, a difficult conversation, a challenge at work, a moment of fear. Now imagine how you would respond if you were your highest self. Steady, compassionate, unshaken. See the expression on your face. Feel the breath in your body. Picture your voice, calm, firm, gentle. This image becomes your anchor. And when life presses in, you now have a place within you to return to. The beauty of this practice is that it helps dissolve the distance between who you are and who you wish to be. It reminds you that the gap is not so wide. It only feels that way when you forget how to imagine. When you forget that what hasn't appeared yet may already be forming beneath the surface. So what do you want to become? What qualities do you long to embody? Don't wait for the world to give them to you. Begin by offering them to yourself, in your own mind, in silence, again and again, until they feel like home. Visualization is not an escape. It's a return to the deeper truth that the person you are becoming is already inside you, just waiting for space to emerge. As we continue, we'll explore a practice that builds on this inner vision, one that softens the edges of harsh self-judgment and allows the heart to truly rest. As we continue this journey inward, we arrive at one of the most transformative shifts of all, the simple yet powerful choice to practice daily gratitude. In a world that constantly whispers, "You need more," it's easy to forget what we already have. The mind, when left unchecked, becomes a seeker of what's missing, always chasing the next thing, the next goal, the next validation. But the moment we choose to pause and give thanks, even for something small, we begin to rewrite that story. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about seeing clearly, acknowledging the light that still exists even on the cloudiest days. Buddhist teachings remind us that craving is one of the roots of suffering. When we are always wanting, we are never truly present. But gratitude is the antidote. It grounds us. It says, "This moment is enough." Try starting each morning by naming just 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be grand. A beam of sunlight through the window, the comfort of a warm drink, or the smile of someone you love. These are the quiet gifts we often overlook, but they are the very things that anchor our peace. And when life gets hard, when grief, stress, or loneliness visit, this habit becomes a lifeline. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it offers a light to hold on to. It says, even now there is still something good. That shift in awareness can soften even the sharpest edges of suffering. Over time, this simple practice becomes a powerful training of the mind. Just as we train the mind to see what has not yet appeared, we now train it to recognize what is already here. With gratitude as our companion, we walk through life with open eyes and an open heart. In the next lesson, we'll gently explore a truth many avoid, how pain, when held with compassion, can become the very doorway to inner freedom. Befriend your pain. the doorway to inner freedom. We are often told to escape pain, to distract ourselves, to fix it, to fight it. But Buddhist wisdom offers a radical path. Don't run. Stay. Sit with it. Observe it. Not as an enemy, but as a teacher cloaked in discomfort. Pain isn't a punishment. It's a signal, a messenger. When you stop resisting it, when you stop labeling it as wrong, you begin to hear what it has been trying to say all along. Beneath every ache is a longing to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be held. Befriending pain doesn't mean romanticizing it. It means not abandoning yourself when it visits. It means being present even when your instinct screams to flee. In Buddhism, this is called practicing equanimity, the courage to stay centered amid life's storms. Imagine sitting in a quiet room and grief walks in. Instead of shutting the door, you open it. You let it sit beside you. You ask, "What have you come to teach me?" You might be surprised at what you learn, that your sadness hides a memory of love, that your anger shields an old wound, that your anxiety is begging for compassion, not control. When you no longer fight pain, something extraordinary happens. You begin to soften. You begin to listen, not just to the pain, but to yourself. You begin to heal from the inside, not by forcing the hurt to disappear, but by allowing space for it to unfold, to be felt, to pass. This is not weakness. This is a deep act of strength. It takes courage to feel, to look at your wounds without turning away, to say, "Yes, this hurts, and I will still stay." That kind of presence is the birthplace of true freedom. Through this practice, pain transforms. It no longer defines you. It no longer drives you. Instead, it becomes a passage, a narrow, dark tunnel that eventually opens into the light. And in that light, you find something else waiting: compassion, wisdom, tenderness for yourself and for others. We often talk about self-love, but rarely are we taught that one of its most powerful forms is staying with ourselves through suffering. Not fixing, not shaming, just staying, with a hand on the heart and a whisper, "I'm here." The mind wants to escape. The soul wants to witness. And it is in the witnessing that healing happens. Not when the pain ends, but when we stop running from it. If you've been hurting and you've been tired of the running, this is your invitation to sit down, to breathe, to say yes to whatever is arising, not forever, just now, one breath, one moment at a time. You don't have to chase peace. It's already inside you, waiting for less noise. Every practice, every moment of awareness, every gentle shift in thought is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming honest. Honest with what hurts, honest with what heals, and honest with the fact that your mind is both the mirror and the sculptor of your life. Some days the mind will wander into old patterns. It will replay doubts, fears, regrets like a tired song. But the path of wisdom isn't about never falling. It's about noticing when you've fallen and returning with compassion. Maybe today you'll pause before reacting. Maybe you'll look at yourself in the mirror and see someone who's trying. And maybe for the first time, you'll see that trying is enough. Buddhist teachings were never meant to decorate your bookshelf. They were meant to be lived in the messiness of life, in the quiet between thoughts, in how you choose to meet the moment. If something in this journey has stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Pass it on. And if you're still here, still listening, maybe that's the most beautiful part. You're not giving up on yourself. Leave a comment below and tell me which lesson you're holding on to. Not for me, for yourself to remember it. Subscribe if you want to go deeper. Share this with someone whose mind deserves peace too. Because healing isn't a destination, it's a devotion.